Tartarius Alpha in the Eastern Fringe. War has ravaged this world for countless years, so much so that finally, combatants just, well, gave up on it. Too much blood, too much horror, too much death. Whether the fighters were called away to more pressing war zones, or whether the untapped resources of the world just didn't seem worth it anymore, the planet was utterly deserted. For years, the desert winds whistled through its empty streets, and sand gnawed at the ruins of the once mighty structures. The howl of the storms was the only sound ever heard on a world that once resonated with the teeming sounds of life, only to give way to the wail of screams and the cacophony of bolter fire. Tartarius, a cadaver, but a pristine one. Onto this forsaken corpse come the Leagues of Votann, the promise of immense mineral wealth, untouched, forsaken because of the distraction of war. A force under the leadership of Uthar himself lands upon the surface and begins to evaluate what might be. But then, strange inhuman sounds roll across the dunes and through the broken skeletons of factory and tower. The kin discover that another race hungers for the riches of this world, the Tyranid. Craving meets hunger, and battle ensues. Okay, my first tangle with the Leagues of Votann, 2,000 point battle. We chucked out a bunch of terrain and then moved on to secondaries. After the feeble performance of Cranial Feasting on my last few games, I'm ditching it and going with Raise the Banners, and I'm adding Engage on All Fronts and Psychic Interrogation. Because I have a lot of characters, the Votann are going with Assassinate, Grind Them Down, and Prospects of Wealth. You see, when an objective marker not in their deployment zone is occupied, they roll a d6 and add 1 for a scanner, and on a 6-up, it's prospected. Each success is 3 victory points, and if they control 1 or more at the end, they get 3 more. So the kin have a Secateur. Is that how you pronounce it? Because it sounds pretty close to Secateur, you know, pruning shears. Anyway, it's full of berserks, and nearby is a Hammer Champion and a bunch of Hearthkin, each with a medic, and there's 2 units of Thunderkin with Uthar the Destined, and there's 3 Pioneer bikes. They are all tooled up with relics and traits and swanky equipment. I have no idea what they got. Anyway, I have a Screamer Killer with Hardened Biology, a 3 Warrior Objective Holding unit of Warriors, 3 Tyrant Guard with Lash Whip and Bone Cleaver, accompanying a Hive Tyrant with a Lash Whip, a Bone Sword, and the Shard Gulling Relic. It has the trait of Adaptive Biology for basically Permacatalyst. 3 Venomthrope, a Scythed Hyrogel with Dermic Symbiosis, 3 Zoanthrope, a Neurothrope with a Resonance Barb and Synaptic Tendrils, and an Exocrine with Voracious Ammunition. A 6 Warrior unit with Adrenal Glands and Toxin Sacs. They have Bone Swords, Death Spitters, and a couple of Venom Cannon. And they are with a Prime with Direct Guidance and a Venom Cannon as well. And in this ruin, a token squad of Termagants with Flesh Borers. First up, the bikers get a sneaky redeploy, and because they fly, they can just ignore the ruin. The kin win the roll-off, and away we go! A command point each. I have no idea how fast they move. I'm assuming bikes and tanks can cover ground, and I don't like the look of those massive cannon on them. So as a precaution, I activate the Zoanthrope's Synaptic Imperative of Warp Shielding to get a nice invuln save across the board, which should help keep my monsters upright and alive. The tank trundles up the side of the board and takes aim, and all the rest of the kin amble forward a little. And I mean a little. A very little. I may have overestimated their speed capabilities here. Okay. The bikes make a run for the central objective because they have a scanner, and because of all the cover, no shooting this turn, unless you count the big honking single-shot missile the tank launches at my Exocrine. Oops, but first, an oversight. Judgment tokens. Now, I got these cool dice with skulls for dots for Christmas, so I loaned them out because they seemed a little more appropriate. Tokens on my Exocrine and my 3 warrior unit, because the kin are all like, I hate blue, I hate it. And don't even get me started on purple. I mean, what's wrong with yellow? Yellow's a great colour. Look at us, we're all in yellow. And back to the missile. It hits, but doesn't get an auto wound. Do they want to risk a reroll? No. So it's AP minus through, and the invuln works, and that stops 6 damage. But come on, did you want to press a button and get a kill, or do you want to run your tank over my bugs alien style? A command point each, getting me to 3, on to moving. Opportunistic advance on the Scythed Hierodule for a whopping 20-inch move to get it close to the tank. The Zoanthrope use the D3+3 advance to make sure they are within 1 foot of the Hierodule. The Venomthrope move over to them, and they get both the Exocrine and the Zoanthropes within the foul spores for the -1 to hit. The Screamer Killer steps out and begins a run up the right flank. The 3 warrior squad take its place on the objective and begin to raise the banners, as do the Termagants on the other one. The Tyrant Guard advance into Obscurin, with the Hive Tyrant close behind. I want to wait and see what sort of shooting the foe have before getting him out so we can start shard gulleting stuff. I don't want to risk some sort of fudgy one-shot gotcha situation. The Warriors and the Prime move up, and the Warriors receive Alpha Warrior, Will of the Hive Mind, and Direct Guidance to buff all of their shooting. The Neurothrope uses Warp Siphon to roll 3d6 and pick the best, and add 2. And it chains the other Warp Siphon to the Zoanthropes, so they can try and get those Super Smites. It also chains up Synaptic Lure and Onslaught onto the Hierodule, and the Zoanthropes cast Catalyst on themselves, and the Hive Tyrant chains up Paroxysm onto the tank and a Psychic Scream into it for 3 mortal wounds, because he's out of range for him to try a Psychic Interrogation. Shooting! Venom Cannon into the Bikers, +1 to hit, re-rolling 1s, but the Leagues of Votann deny wound re-rolls, so Alpha Warrior from the Prime is useless. But they take out a Biker. The Screamer Killer spews some Bioplasmic at them, 4 shots take out the rest of the unit. And finally, the Scythed Hierodule spews some Bioacid Spray with an extremely swingy 3d6 shots. 1 lousy wounding hit that does 1 wound. I think its acid might well be past its sell-by date. The charge! Roll 3d6 and pick the best 2, +1 from the Hive Fleet and a re-roll. Maybe excessive, but I need this charge to go off. And we're in! Yes, check this out. Now this should be a fun rumble. And I spoke too soon. Only 2 hits with the claws. Both wound? And he saves both. Okay, didn't see that happening. 3 hits on the retaliation, 2 wound, 1 goes through. I didn't bring a d20, so I use a d10 and a d6 to show my remaining 17 wounds. Dude, so what happened here? The Hierodule slams its claws into the vehicle, scratching the paintwork. The owner is furious. Do you know how long I spent in the dark, damp mine to earn enough for this swanky yellow paint job? You went and scratched it. I haven't had a bath in 7 years. You are so for it now, you damn bug. Anyway, the banners go up, and I'm in 3 of the 4 quarters for some engage on all fronts. The tank uses a strat to fall back and shoot. The kin get more judgmental with the Hierodule and the Zoanthrope. Snipers take up position in the ruined windows. Uh-oh. Magna-Rail into the Hierodule, no effect. The tank auto-hits, successfully wounds, ignores invulns and does 7 wounds. It takes some other minor hits, then a bunch more auto-hits. Dermic soaks up most of it. Troops in the ruin open up with auto-wound. Dermic again soaks up a bunch. Others take shots at the Zoanthrope. The invuln say fouls, but Catalyst does its work. A shot goes through, but it's damage 3. More shots, and invuln and Catalyst foul. Another 3 wounds sustained. The champion swings his maul and charges my Hyrule. 4 attacks, another strat to improve the chance of wounding or something, and you'll have to forgive me for not having the specifics. 1, it's not my faction. 2, the rest of the store is packed full of people all diligently doing card game stuff, so there's a lot of background noise. And the table right next to us has a role-playing game going on, so there's lots of discussion and narration and arguing, lots of a mysterious hooded figure and servings of ale, so a lot of audio is really hard for me to make out. Hopefully next time it'll be quieter and I'll be able to give you more specifics. Apparently the leagues also have the option to teleport, but not these dudes, but something to keep an eye out for. 6 strength 10 hits, AP -3, 3 go through, and 23 damage. Yes, 23 damage from 3 hits, and that's it for the biggest of my bugs. The Hyrule rolls a 6 for death throws and does 3 mortals in revenge. Forgewell need to sort their stats. Everything in the fleet got buffed with the new codex, but Forgewell did nothing. Will they? Won't they? Maybe they'll wait until 10th edition, but seriously, until then, Forge World stuff just doesn't give you the value for the points. But it was still fun to give this chonky boy a go. The synaptic imperative of Guide Mind flows through the synaptic link, enhancing missile fire. Command points. Direct guidance is going on the Exocrine this turn. I really need it to cover for the Hyrule's spectacularly poor performance. With the D3+3 on the advance, the warriors rush forward. The Tyrant Guard advance and get on the objective, and seeing as they have no shooting, they make themselves useful and start raising a banner. The Hive Tyrant follows behind and hoists its shard gullet in readiness. The Zoanthrope go and get a line of sight on the tank, and the Exocrine goes and touches the terrain so it can thrust its monster cannon through the windows and draw aim. The Zoanthrope get a super smite and a 1 on the dice. Sigh. And a quick reposition here. Apparently the wall I am against has the windows all boarded up, preventing view, which meant I would have dropped the Exocrine on the other side. Nothing huge, just learning the nuances of the store's terrain. Catalyst on the Tyrant Guard because I don't think the Zoanthrope will last much longer, and I need to protect my Warlord, who chucks a Psychic Interrogation out. It succeeds, but he doesn't get over the target's leadership, so no freebie command point. Drat. Now that the enemy squads have moved into the ruin, the Prime's Venom Cannon opens fire, and a terrible roll, but 2 damage. The other 2 Venom Cannon open fire and get a much better roll. 6 shots, explode in 6s and re-roll in 1s, 4 ups to wound, no re-rolls, only 1 wounding hit, and he saves it.
That could have been better.
Death Spitters, 12 shots, 6 wounding hits, 2 go through, and a robot goes beep boop beep, I got this, steps into the incoming and is turned into scrap metal. If the leagues win, they can salvage it later. A guy who has been watching and having a laugh with us shows us his excellently garish orcs. My opponent asks if he fancies a game after this one, but turns out he's never played before, so we offer him games and ask if he's on the store's Discord, and he's actually from Ellensburg, which is like an hour-and-a-half drive away. Damn, this store must have a hell of a rep to inspire that sort of commute. Anywho, Bioplasmic Cannon, +1 to hit, exploding 6s, 3 wounding hits at AP -4, and on a 5-up save, he makes them all. But the Voracious Ammunition does 3 mortal wounds, taking it to a single wound. So I now have no choice but to overkill with the Shard Gullet and waste 3 strength 12 damage 5 hits to take this thing out before that invuln ignoring cannon starts ripping up my lines. Alakablam, but it doesn't explode, which is fortunate for the champion standing right next to it, and all the berserks disembark safely. The banners go up, I hold 3 objectives, my opponent has 2. Command points and the judgment tokens come pouring out on all the Tyranids the squats are pissed at. The berserks make a move on the Zoanthropes, the champion comes a-running, and the squads clomp forth. The 10-man squad into my main Tyranid warrior force. They have a comms array and a scanner, and because they do 2 damage, I activate reinforced Hive node to lower that to damage 1. 10 AP2 hits, 8 go through, and then an invuln ignoring hit, doing D3 plus 3 for 6 damage. Yikes. 5 hits on the Tyrant Guard, AP minus 2, 1 goes through for 2 damage. The Magna Rail on my Tyrant Guard, glad I put Catalyst on them, 6 damage. Thunderkin, open up, 2 auto-wounding hits, 4 hits, AP minus 2, 3 more damage. Another 2 hit, and the save fails. 4 more damage, and Catalyst fails me again. Bolt of Fire from the champion ignores Catalyst and takes down the last of my Tyrant Guard. The other 10-man squad open up on my Tyranid warriors, 8 shots, shooting twice, ignoring cover because of the scanner, 9 hits and another weak armor save, 6 go through. And then another Magna Rail. No invulns, AP minus 4, but it fails to wound. The Berserks charge the Brain Bugs. The champion charges the Venom Thrope and makes it. On a 5-up they take D3 mortal wounds, and yep, my Wrigley fellows take 3 mortals. And then he does this once per game personal grudge thing. 1 hit auto wounding and does 6 damage. Yikes, hard hitter in the house. Berserks, a lot of misses, but 4 AP minus 3 hits, 2 go through, 3 damage each, and then the Concussion Maul, 2 wounding hits, AP minus 2, damage 2, and that's the Zoanthropes done. The Berserks consolidate forward. The Venom Thrope retaliate, the minus 1 to wound is countered by the auto wound on 2-ups, and 8 hits, and his armour absorbs it all. He remains active and on a healthy 3 wounds. Weak. Goaded to slaughter flows across the synaptic link. Will of the hive mind and direct guidance on the Screamer Killer to improve those 11 attacks. The 3 warrior unit move forward to get line of sight and hopefully get some effective venom cannon fire going. The remains of the Tyranid warriors move up with the Tyrant. The Exocrine retreats, so the Berserks can't tangle it up in melee. The Screamer Killer dances around the ruin and preps the charge. Catalyst and Synaptic Lure on the exposed Hive Tyrant. The Neurothrope moves into line of sight and tries a smite. It goes super, but I roll a 1. Command point for a reroll, and I roll another 1. Psychic Scream, and I roll another 1. He's still standing on 1 wound. What is it with this game and me running dry of damage output exactly at the 1 wound remaining mark? Oops, I forgot my reserves. The Death Leaper and the Parasite drop into cover in the backfield. On to shooting. The 10 Termagants lurking in the ruin open fire with their flesh borers. The Strat of Scorch Bugs adds 1 to their strength, and this takes them just over the Berserk's toughness for a better chance to wound. 6 wounding hits, 1 goes down. So far, this has been my only reliable unit. The backfield unit of warriors. Venom Cannon try and take out those Thunderkin. 1 hit, fails to wound. Death Spitters, 3 wounding hits, and the medic blocks it. The Exocrine goes for the Berserks. I can't have them running around shirtless and causing havoc. 3 wounding hits, 3 die, and 2 mortals from the voracious ammunition. Okay, they are still up. No choice here. The forward Tyranid warriors train their Venom Cannon back on the Berserks, once again trying to take out these remnants. 2 wounding hits, 2 go down, and that's the Berserks out of here. The other Venom Cannon and Death Spitter into a squad because with my rolling, I need to make use of Blast because I can't trust the roll on Thunderkin. A command point for Pathogenic Slime for exploding 6s, 7 wounding hits, but the medic bag means only 3 of them go down. Bioplasmic Scream from the Screamer Killer, 4 hits, 2 of them wound, 1 guy goes down into the ground. Shard Gullet into the Thunderkin. All shots wound and they save 2 of them. 1 guy perishes. Yeesh, these guys are beasts. Charging. The Tyranid warriors and Prime rush into the building to try and finish off those Thunderkin, but they overwatch. Both succeed, and those damage 3 hits. Man, Down goes another warrior with dry bone swords, didn't even get to take a swing. And finally, a stroke of luck. The Venom Thrope, Toxic Miasma. If I make the roll, that's it. The pesky champion is out. And success. The foul spores overwhelm him and down he goes. The champ is dead. Finally. 7 wounding hits from the Screamer Killer. 7 kin are torn apart by those Screamer Killer talons. I was going to charge in my Death Leaper and Parasite, but was then reminded that you can't charge on Deep Strike. But of course, I forgot they aren't deep striking. The Parasite is coming in on Death from Above, and so long as he drops in at 9 inches or more, it can re-roll its charge. And the Death Leaper is coming in as a Hidden Hunter, and it too gets a charge re-roll if it drops in at 9 inches or less. Plus, for a command point, Pheromone Trail for an extra 2 inches on top of the Hive Fleet's +1. 2 shots at rolling a 6. I like those odds. Anyways, filing that one away for next time. The kin spend the command points and interrupt, and do a bunch of damage on the Hive Tyrant. The Tyrant goes with Trampling Charge and then brings its monstrous bone sword to bear. The warriors take down a Thunderkin, the Uthar fellow heroically intervenes and slays another. And unfortunately this is the point my battery gave out, but I can easily finish this with pictures and make sure I bring more spears next time. They fall back and shoot, slaying my warlord and denying me the fight on death strat. Uthar gets feisty with the Screamer Killer, and the Parasite rushes in to help out. The Death Leaper pounces on the last of the Thunderkin. The Neurothrope and last Venom Thrope take the central objective, and so we opted to call it here, because even with the character kills, I'm still way ahead on points. Wow! Fear the Leagues of Votann. They move slow, but they have the range to bring their incredibly powerful weapons to bear right away. Watch out for the beam attacks. Fortunately, my battle line was spread out enough that it wasn't really a factor in this battle. They are exceedingly hardy, with great armour and lots of rerolls. Add the medic's ability to save casualties to their very potent in melee, and you've got real problems. No psychers in this game, so I'm not sure what they're like in that just yet. Mostly, watch out for the tank and the Magnarels that ignore invuln saves, get those Thunderkin, and stay out of melee with their characters.